All right, so Dana White on Nina Drummer's stream, I think it was Sunday night, said he'll announce the next 4 cards this week. They said they got a lot of shit done this week, and he posted on Instagram also smoking a cigar. You know, whenever he posts that, something's big has come down. Obviously, they just did the White House card. The weekend card was unsuccessful, that 326 bullshit that they cooked up. But I think we get some big announcements this week. And what are those 4 events? I think it's UFC 328, UFC Serbia, UFC Macau, and then a fight night, which is either May 23rd or June 6th, right before the White House card. If you look at the schedule here, May 2nd, we have stuff all the way up till May 2nd. I think we're not missing a week until either the 23rd of May or June 6th. I think one of those weeks will be a break. I would think they do May 23rd as a break because we have like non-stop all, I think from February 21st till May 16th, there's announced events. Because if I'm not mistaken, it was February 21st, 28th, March 7th, March 14th, 21st, 28th, April 4th, 11th, 18th, 25th, May 2nd, May 9th, 328, May 16th, Serbia. I think May 23rd is going to be a break, but you never know. Maybe they do a fight night there. But I think they take a break, so it's either that or June 6th as a fight night. One of those two. And I think it's more likely to be June 6th is a fight night, May 23rd is a break. But it would be May 9th, UFC 328, May 16th in Serbia, May 30th in Macau, and then June 6th a fight night, which I would think would be in the Apex, but it could be in person as well. Maybe they want to get a good fight night right before the White House card, or they just don't care. It's like, oh, we have the White House card next week. Fuck you guys. Which is also underwhelming. It's a good card, but underwhelming in my opinion. So, UFC 328, what would be the headliner? There's only one real option, honestly. One option that could be announced this week. The only division that could be announced this week is Hamza Chimaev in middleweight, defending his belt finally. It is a bad layoff. That 9 months? 9-month layoff. I know he had a little foot injury. He was supposed to fight Imavov in December, he said, and the injury, and then February, but the injury kept him held up. And I think now, since Sean Strickland put on the performance he did, and he's been going back and forth with Hamzat, they have a beef going, they have a storyline, they have something that could sell or put eyes in the sport, and Imavov and Hamzat are butt buddies, and say, I don't want to fight, okay, you don't want to fight? Fuck them. That's what the UFC is saying. I'd rather see Imavov, I'd rather them do merit-based matchmaking, rather than just like headlines and star power, you could say, and storylines. It is good to do that to an extent. When you're skipping over someone like Imavov, who's beat Adesanya, beat Barallo, and probably going to need a fight again against a DDP, against a Bernard Allen, especially against DDP, a former champ. I think that's crazy. I don't want to see it, but I think it will be Sean Strickland. So right after the fights, I think this was around like a week, or during the week of, or the week after Houston, it was sometime recently. Hamza was responding to someone saying, are you still injured, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, waiting for Strickland. And Strickland says, yeah, I want to fight Hamza before the White House. So Hamza's not injured. And the standard camp is 2 months. It's literally about 2 months from, maybe they started camp already, but 2 months from the card 328, which it's about the standard time for a camp. And let me pull something up real quick. It was yesterday. Sean Strickland tweeted something, or put on Instagram. He goes, it's been a fun dive weekend, but back to work. Terrorists to fight, belts to be won. That's what Sean Strickland just put on Instagram. So, and also with this, the narrative is that Sean Strickland is the toughest test. Well, it was Anthony Hernandez will be the toughest test for Hamzat, and then Sean Strickland just went out there and beat his ass and finished him and had a very good performance. That's what I was saying. I was saying if Strickland or Fluffy has a dominant performance, a one-sided performance, which Strickland did, then maybe the numbers don't show. I think the numbers are pretty even. But in my opinion, watching that, I was like, okay, Sean Strickland's going to finish him. Like the first minute and a half, I was in my living room. I wish I was on live or something doing this. I said Sean Strickland will finish him. Just how it was going. I'm like, this is over for Fluffy. Like, it looks bad. So that's something. As I said, Strickland, or Hamzat said he's waiting for Strickland. He's not injured. I think they skip Imavov and do this fight for the main event 328. Also, like I was saying, the only division that makes sense is middleweight because flyweight's booked. Bantamweight, Petr Yan's injured. He's out till at least June, probably July though. Then featherweight, there's no one to fight Volk right now. Gene Silva needs another win, and then you have Movsar Lerone, who are fighting in 2 weeks or 11 days now. And then you have lightweight, who's booked. You have welterweight, Islam's injured. You have middleweight, which is this. You have light heavyweight, which is booked, and then you have heavyweight, which is booked. So the only option for 328, unless they want to come up with a new BMF, which please no. But honestly, I think they do this fight. I think it's probably signed and they announce it this week. And the co-main event, I think we get a women's fight. We need a women's title fight, whether it's flyweight or strawweight. I think it's to be flyweight. Valentina Shevchenko versus Natalia Silva. I'm pretty sure Shevchenko is healthy and Natalia Silva is ready. She should get the title shot, Natalia Silva. And Shevchenko, I think she had some injuries after the Zhang Weili fight, but I think she's good now, good to go in May. I think Zhang Weili also is good to go. Mackenzie Dern as well, but I have a feeling it will be flyweight, this fight, rather than Zhang Weili and Mackenzie Dern. But either or, I think that we're going to get a women's title fight on here as a co-main event. And then also, if you look at the card already, we have a big contender fight. Volkov versus Cortez Acosta. That's probably a featured fight. And we have a couple, or really 3 prelim prospect fights. We have Atiba Gautier, Marco Tulio, and Jose Ochoa. Those are good. So I think this is gonna be a pretty stacked card. One of those where it's a lot of big names. We have multiple prospects on here already. We have a big contender fight with a guy with a lot of hype and Waldo Cortez Acosta. We're gonna get a very hyped up main event. I think they need a makeup for the 326. They're doing that with 327, but I think 328 will also be pretty stacked, honestly, because we have a lot of Apex cards coming up, a lot of fight nights coming up as well. I think this fight card is gonna be pretty stacked. And I also think we get another big contender matchup, whether it's one, Aljamain Sterling fighting again. He's been winning the fight since December, and I think he finally gets it. I don't know if we'll be booked for April, but I think right at the beginning of May versus Gene Silva. I've been advocating for this fight. I predicted it when my 328 card builder. I think they should do this fight here. I think it makes a lot of sense, both sides. You test Gene Silva's grappling a little more, and you also test Aljamain Sterling his striking a little more, his durability. And he should be advocating for his fight. He called for Yair Rodriguez in Miami, but I think that's dumb. I think you need to eliminate the competition. Because, yes, Yair Rodriguez, if he gets another win, he's going to maybe get a title shot because he's a big name, Mexico, whatever. But I think Gene Silva is more likely to get a win and to get a title shot if he wins. He's a bigger name, in my opinion, more hype around him, and he's a better fighter, so I think it's more likely he gets a win against a top contender rather than Yair Rodriguez, especially if it's like a grappler or something. So I think Aljamain Sterling, and there's a path to victory here for him. You know, Gene Silva's erratic. He does a lot of spinning attacks, overthrows a decent amount. He's heavy on his front leg. So we saw it against Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez was able to capitalize on his mistakes, take his back, bring him down, control him, and ground and pound. Aljamain Sterling could do the same, I think. I'm not saying I pick him to win, but I think he could. There's a path to victory for him. It's not like he's going to get just absolutely torched. I think that's one option. Another one is Ankalaev return. He's wanting the return in May, so I think it's a good spot for him. Versus Khalil Rountree. I think they do Khalil. Because if you look at the division, the only top guys who are available, not injured or not booked, I was thinking maybe a Jan Blachowicz rematch, but he's rematching Bogdan Guskov on this card. So I think we could get Ankalaev versus Khalil, a Whitaker as well, or an Ozdemir, but I don't think Ozdemir will get that big jump from 9 after beating Menefield, going from now he's at 9 going up to number 1. I don't know if they'll do that. I think Khalil's a big name. They like him a lot. I wouldn't be surprised of Ankalaev getting back in there. Even though Khalil doesn't deserve to fight up, I could still see it happening, but I think this is less likely. Also, the UFC said Arman Sarukian, or not UFC, Dana White was saying a few months ago, so things have changed since then, but saying Arman would fight between, I think it was in January, sometime in between then and the White House card. So this is before the White House card. And he was presented with some options recently by Hunter Campbell. One of them was waiting out to fight for the title, the winner of Gaethje Ilya, so Ilya, or the BMF winner, Charles. That's another one. Very intriguing, compelling. A rematch with Charles. Or I think the most winnable out of those, obviously he won the title fight, but or Arman Tsarukyan fight, but Benoit Saint Denis. You know, Benoit is deserving of a big matchup. I think he either gets a Max Holloway or Arman Tsarukyan. And I think this could happen. It's maybe Arman wants this. Like, okay, I come back not too late in the year where I need time to recover to get to a fight with Ilya. Or like him and Ilya's ready before Arman's ready or something like that. But I think it's a good timeline for him. Maybe he wants to take this fight, and it's very winnable. I think he's better than BSD all around. And he can land some nasty ground and pound on BSD. BSD, Moicano did it. I think Arman's a better striker, the faster, more accurate striker, better defensively. I think this is very winnable for him, and I think he could be the one to take this fight. So I think on UFC 328, we get a big contender fight. And then also, lastly, I think Baysinger Sushakayev, he said he has fight news coming soon. I think he's going to be on the card with Hamzat, his training partner. That's one of the big things around the hype about him. He's a young guy who trains with Hamzat. And I think he's been hinting at this, saying Marvin Vettori. I'm not surprised by this. Marvin Vettori is not very good. Sushakayev is going to be able to win. I don't think Sushakayev is that good. He has a lot of potential. He's shown shades of a lot of potential, but then he's shown shades of just being like, okay. Like his fights with Eric Nolan on 4 days' notice. I know they were both on 4 days' notice, but Eric Nolan was up a weight class. And then his fight with Eric McConaughey, who's not very good himself. He's decent. McConaughey's decent, but he shouldn't be giving you the trouble. He gave Sushakayev some trouble, but I think Sushakayev is being a dumbass and just like aura farming, showboating, all that stuff like that. So I think in that case, he does have a lot of potential, and I think this fight will be on there. Now, for UFC Serbia, I think the headliner will be Earl Smetic. He called for it. Donald Trump helped him get like his visa issues or whatever, his travel issues, so he could go there. And I think he gets either a Leon Edwards like he called out, or even a Gabriel Bonfim. Bonfim, he's not very. I don't think he's liked by the UFC. He got ranked and then gets an unranked opponent. I think he'd fight down again. Even though like we keep seeing the rankings don't matter as much. This would be a 12 in Earl Smetic versus a 10 in Gabriel Bonfim, or number 8 in Leon. Leon needs to fight down. Gabriel Bonfim should be fighting up, but there's really no one for him to fight up other than a Leon. Because in front of him is Buckley, who's fighting Brady, and then I don't know who's number 7. I think it's Kamaru Usman. Kamaru's not fighting Bonfim, I don't think. And that would even get him a title shot if he did beat him. So I think he gets one of these. I think Earl Smetic gets either a Leon or Bonfim in Serbia. I don't even know if Leon will accept this fight. He just fought a power puncher, got knocked out. Would he go back in there with a guy who's a power puncher himself, a southpaw power puncher? I don't know. I think Leon would more likely take a Bonfim fight, but I think maybe one of these guys will be pressured into taking this matchup. You never know. But I think Earl Smetic will and should be on this card. And also, I think Rakic will be on this card. He's Serbian, but I think it won't be at light heavyweight. He's been teasing a move up to heavyweight. He posted an Instagram picture with heavyweight question mark or heavyweight, the eyes emoji, side eye, and he looked damn big. Looked very, very big and meaty. I think he's going to be fighting Ante Delija on this card. Ante Delija just lost in February versus Sergey Spivak. And I think for on Ante Delija's side, you're on a 2-fight losing streak. You just fought. You didn't take a crazy amount of damage. You did take some damage. You did get knocked out before that, so it might be iffy. But then you look at it like this. I'm going up against a guy making his debut in my weight class. So he's not like a natural heavyweight. He's a big guy. His frame is perfect for heavyweight, though. And he's a little bit chinny. So maybe you're like, okay, this could be a good matchup for me. Get back in there, get a win against a chinnier guy. And it's close to my home country. I'm in his hometown. I could get some hype back by getting a knockout win here. And then Rakic, I'm making my heavyweight debut against a decent name, a decent fighter, who's on a 2-fight losing streak. Yes, he's not some crazy winner, but he's looked decent in his UFC stint. Decent. Not shitty, but decent. He's a win over Marcin Tybura, lost to Waldo by KO, and then lost to Spivak by decision. So I think it's a good fight by both of them, and this could be a perfect co-main event and a perfect heavyweight debut for Rakic, which I think is the right move here in this time, because he's stuck in a weird place at light heavyweight. Now, for UFC Macau, I think Song Yadong could headline this. Didn't take a lot of damage against Sean O'Malley. I don't think he was injured. I think he fights either Mario Bautista, who's definitely ready to get back in there, or Peyton Talbot, who just fought in December. Had a bit of a war, you could say, with Henry Cejudo. Didn't take as much damage as Henry, but did take some damage. Nothing crazy, but I think this will be 6 months, a little over 6 months. So I think it'll be fine to get back in there. And I think whoever doesn't get this matchup with Song Yadong should be getting a Corey Sandhagen. I wouldn't be mad with either of these guys getting a Corey Sandhagen matchup, but I think I'd rather see Bautista get Song Yadong and then Peyton Talbot get shot up and fight Corey Sandhagen. I think that'll be a banger. But I think this is a perfect headliner for this. Song Yadong in Macau, China versus another good contender on the come up. Either one of these guys makes sense. I'll be fine with either of them. And then whoever doesn't get this gets a Corey Sandhagen fight. So Mario Bautista will be a rematch and Peyton Talbot will be fresh. So I'd rather see the fresh guy come in there and fight Corey Sandhagen. I think that'll be great. Also, I could see another type of headliner. Zhang Weili making a return back to strawweight and fighting for the belt versus Mackenzie Dern. You know, she goes back to China, makes her get back at the belt, and they've put fight nights in the past on. I mean, they put title fights on fight nights in the past. I think they could do it again. I would not be surprised if they do, especially a women's fight night. I mean, a women's title fight. I could see it. I wouldn't be opposed to this. I think it's a good spot because they're in a weird spot. If you guys are both ready, there's not really a lot of pay-per-view spots to put you on unless it's 328. But I think 328 will be Val, Natalia Silva, and then later that month you do this fight because then what? You gotta wait till either late June, early July. That's a huge layoff for both of these girls who I think are ready to fight. So I think it's a good option to also put them there, and then you could co-main Song Yadong in a 5-round co-main versus one of those guys that I said. I think either one is good. Either option as a headliner and then the co-main would be very good. I think it'll be good. And now onto the fight night. If it's in the Apex, I could see a Horiguchi versus Cop rematch. I would like to see it in a more crowded arena, but the Apex will be renovated by then. I'm pretty sure. Or if it's June 6th. I mean, yeah, June 6th or May 23rd, but I think it'll be June 6th. I could see him doing this. There's a lot of different fights that I couldn't see headlining a fight night or being in the Apex, but like having a good name. I know they've put some weird ones in there like Bonfim Brown, but I think this is a good spot for this one. Put in the new Apex. I think the Apex will have the seating, 1,000 seats in there, so I think this will be a good option. They put Manel Kape in the Apex plenty of times, like last year versus Asu Mabayev and then versus Brendan Royval. He did have a featured fight, but I could see this on a pay-per-view as well. Maybe the 328, but Horiguchi did break his hand his last fight. But he said he's ready to go, like whenever, even though he has an injury. And I think 6 weeks after his fight, he starts camp. 6 to 8 weeks after his fight, he starts camp. And I think his hand will be healed by then. He'll be ready to go. So this could make sense for an Apex card or Apex headliner. But if it's in person, I could see Robert Whittaker headlining a fight night in person somewhere in the U.S., especially if it's June 6th, and making his light heavyweight debut. He called out Ankalaev, which is a little crazy step up, but Robert Whittaker's a big name. They don't like Ankalaev that much. I could see him getting a big shot up here, getting a big fight in his debut at light heavyweight, or a Khalil Roundtree. And again, another big name, 2 big names, and it's not that bad rankings wise, you know. Honestly, they're both coming off losses, and I think it's 2 big names, and they have similar stature, so it could be a good little test for Robert Whittaker at light heavyweight. I'm not opposed to this. I think it'll be a cool, fun matchup, and it's actually intriguing. So, and then also an Ozdemir, which I think is the least, because Ozdemir's gonna have a big power and just physicality advantage over Robert Whittaker. Even though Robert Whittaker says he's walking around at 235, his speed's gonna be better. He's gonna outskill these guys, but it's just the chin. But maybe without a weight cut, he's been cutting a lot of weight recently, maybe. And without the weight cut, his chin's going to be like very, very good. So any one of these guys, I could see it happening. I'm not banking on it, but I would not be surprised if a headliner is Robert Whittaker's light heavyweight debut. I would like to see Khalil Roundtree. I think it'll be a very, very fun matchup. And it's good for Khalil too because he's coming off a pretty bad knockout. Especially 2 in 1 year with the Alex and the Yuri. I think this would be a good matchup for him. He's not going to get chinned here. And it's winnable. So those are my thoughts for these next 4 events. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of these matchups and what you think will be the fights that are made on these cards. So that's it. See you in the next one. I don't know if I'll have a video later this week other than my predictions. So see y'all later.